You're watching SFM.
Hello everyone, I am Ethan the Thief, and today I want to talk about where I've been, what I used to do, and what I plan to do. This is going to be a long one, and it's going to be a little bit personal. Where I've been, for those that know the channel, you may have seen that I've done mostly VR chat content, and I have done VR chat content for about all of 2022. That was more of like my lobby experience. It was a chronicle of those kinds of things that I would get into, or conversations, and I would look at maps. I would appreciate the time and effort that map creators would put into their maps, and I liked that. I really adored that aspect of VR chat. I liked that VR chat was a positive tool that could be used to make antisocial people more social. That was very cool. But I quit for a number of reasons, and I feel like it's important to explain a few of them at least. So 1, VR chat is terrible. VR chat is terrible for creatives. Okay, what do I mean by this? It used to be a great place for artists to use it as basically a portfolio, and I thought that was immensely cool. But what do you get nowadays? Say you made your own avatar, or you commissioned one. Nobody cares. They might think it's cool, and if they think that's cool, there's a bigger problem. They're gonna ask for it. I hate that culture. If you've watched VReal Chat, my old podcast, you'll know that I'm very outspoken about that. I hate that aspect, because what happens when you say no? Because everyone says yes, you get blocked. There's this sort of culture where it used to be a culture that respected what was unique, and now it's, oh, that looks cool, give me it. Once I found that out, I got really depressed because I looked a little bit more into that, and a lot of the maps that I thought were cool, I've been noticing are just prefabs. They're not handmade, sculpted and then decimated maps. They are essentially hack jobs of like a bunch of other maps that are popular, twisted in ways, and then they add like the staples like a mirror, media player, stuff like that. The thing that every world has. So it makes sense. VR chat used to be this great platform for individuality and creativity, and I think it really could be that to some extent, but not as much as it used to be. I noticed that a lot of artists that are still on VR chat are new. So what do? They plagiarize. They copy. That makes sense with the community, where it's essentially a virtual thrift store. Everyone just, shuffles into big lobbies. They change skins with each other, and they move on. Nothing that you have is your own. Not even your profile picture, if you pay for an extremely overpriced subscription model that nobody gives a fuck about. But moving on. So that's why I quit VR chat. I thought VReal Chat, if you've watched VReal Chat, you'll know it's very stylized. You may not even know it's recorded in VR chat by watching it, especially if you don't know what VR chat is. You might think, this is weird. This is like a really weird Zoom call. And you'd be right. The thing is, I wanted to take VR chat as a platform and apply it to a creative medium where I could just talk about whatever with random people on VR chat, which I think is a great place to source talent. I met a lot of really funny people and a lot of really cool people by just telling people I do a podcast in VR chat, and it's great. I think the concept was really cool, but the reception was really bad. I felt like the community didn't care about a VR chat podcast because it was just done to death. Nobody, and the thing is, nobody really wants to talk about real stuff because VR chat as a whole is more geared towards this kind of escapism. I think escapism is exactly the word I'm looking for. Arielana said it in the first episode that VR chat is great because of escapism. You can be whoever the fuck you want to be. You can look however the fuck you want to look. You can treat people however you want to. And I think that's great. I think that's good, but also with escapism comes a sort of immaturity. And that connects back to my point where people don't care if you made something. They care about getting it. And that really sucks. So that's where I was. Let's go into more direct. Hello. Again, I am Ethan the Thief. I used to be a artist, animator, voice actor. I'm currently a translator of English, French, and Spanish. I've worked as a concept artist for Ubisoft, amongst other game studios. It's not as much as you think. I peaked at 22, which is still better than most people who peak in high school. So, it's a silver lining amongst other things in my life. Like, I own a bidet. How many other people own a bidet? One with heated seat, heated water. It has a dryer that's very underpowered for how much I paid for it. But moving on. That's who I am. Now let's move into where I'm going. I wanted to announce this on Be Real Chat episode 3, I think. It was with ZG Minor. It's the only thing on my Patreon because I thought I was going to do Be Real Chat full time. I was planning on doing 2 to 3 episodes a month, which as a solo thing with that much editing is pretty big. It's not... herding cats takes a long time, but I'm very good at herding cats. So, when I was prepping for that, before I quit, I have one unreleased episode. I might chop it up. Let me know if you want that episode. I've been just sitting on it. It's not going anywhere. What I'm doing now is I wanted to announce this during episode 3. So it's been a while in development, as at least in a conceptual way. But I am working on making a studio. What kind of studio? A game studio, to be exact. I love games. Wow, very creative, very unique. What I always like about certain game studios is when they're not afraid to make something different. They're not afraid to go out of their comfort zone and just make a product that that fits a niche, which is what I'm going for with the studio. We have several games planned, and by we, I mean me, because right now there's only me, Big Boss Bob, 310. Yeah, there's just 2 people right now. We are looking for other people. So if you are creative, let me know. There's an email in the description. We are looking for spriters, we're looking for musicians, and we're looking for writers. So let me talk about the first project that we're working on. The first project is Sands of Cadam, which it's an RPG turn-based style rhythm battle game where you play a necromancer who is named by the player, and you venture through Cadam in order to do a thing that I cannot explain. Concept art that I've been working on here and there, nothing is complete. You can get a good idea of the kind of landscape from this, the feel, and I want to talk a little bit about funding. Funding this project is going to be completely out of pocket. Anything that I commission from somebody is going to be out of pocket. So I might open up the Patreon for concept art, or I might wait until we do a Kickstarter, because we do plan on doing one or the other, or both, depending on how much reception and want there is for this. Sands of Cadam comes from an old webcomic idea that I had about 10 or 11 years ago, and it was about to be submitted in order to be a graphic novel to SLG. Slave Labor Graphics published a lot of my favorite graphic novels, and I really liked a lot of the things that they did. Johnny the Homicide Maniac, Serenity Rose. So those 2 ones really formed a lot of my, I guess, teenage years, and I thought, let's make a really dark story. I made it into an actual story, and that was Green Tanuki. The necromancer, he wears green and he fights like a dog, but not quite. So that's why, he was called the Green Tanuki. So the overarching story is going to be different from how that was or how that was planned, but the overall DNA is the same. It's going to be a story-driven RPG. However, it's going to be more like the old dot hack games, Legend of Dragoon, these things where you can go pretty much everywhere you want. It's not going to be open world. We plan already to do a map-based system. I was working on it in RPG Maker originally with a 3D camera. We tried Bacon or Bakken, RPG developer, and I farted around in that engine for like 3 months. It's a very unknown niche game engine, but it's really bad. It's really. I have left the worst review on Steam I have ever left, and it is overpriced. It is not fit for purpose. It's so rigid. So, Unreal Engine. Within a day, I got the vocalization system set up. One thing I want to do with some sort of monetization is that ideally, every NPC will have a different voice, big, small NPCs, important or none. Everyone will have a different voice. That's the plan, at least. And it's fine if not, if we don't get that many voices. Currently, we have around 20, and here are some of them.
Yeah.
A, E, I, O, yo.
So if you want a voice in the game, subscribe and watch for my quarterly updates, because one of these times I'll open up the Kickstarter or the Patreon, and one of those tiers will be to, one, have your voice in the game. All you need to say is A-E-I-O. That's it. You take that, I chop it up, and here's an example. Another tier I was thinking about is design a monster, a boss, your own NPC, whole quests, stuff like that. No matter how much or little the funding will be, the form of the game will be the same. And I really hope that people look forward to the game, and I hope people look forward to the story, because it's something that means a lot to me. I've been sitting on this story for over 10 years now. And unfortunately, because of the SLG thing, them moving to publishing rather than printing and serialization, I really hope that people enjoy this story that I think is something worth reading, or, I guess playing now. So yeah, this has been the first quarterly update on Sands of Cadam. Thank you for watching.